Hello and welcome to Grapple Theory. Now today we are joined by a very special guest. We've ventured over to sunny Spain in mainland Europe to chat to a BritRest favourite. He's excited to get back to these shores after restrictions have been lifted and really make his mark on the scene. He's a member of Team White Wolf. He's a self-confessed music nerd and he's ready to break out as a solo star here on these shores and abroad as well. Please welcome Carlos Romo to Grapple Theory. Carlos, how are you? How have things been going?
Good. Just itching to do more stuff and to travel again, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what has that been like? Because you've had a few shows back now. What has it been like coming back to wrestling after so long out?
It's been really good. So the two matches I did in the UK the other day were my fourth and fifth since I came back. So I did one in Austria. I think it was like July. No, I actually did two in Austria. So it was like morning show, like morning and evening show, afternoon evening. One in Budapest and then two in the UK. And I was talking about this with some friends. It's a bit of a weird one because you feel like, oh, I don't know how am I gonna be. Like it's been so long since I last wrestled. And then I saw like everybody doing like in the UK they were doing like at least some tapings.
Yeah.
In the States everybody was wrestling. Basically they stopped for like a month or so. So I was like, oh shit, like I need to catch up with all these people. Like how is it gonna be? It's been so long since I wrestled. And then the moment I did my first singles match, I was like, okay, I think this went pretty well. And then I did another singles match, I was like, yeah, this went well too. And the ones in the UK went well, okay. So it was like, yeah, I'm good.
Nice.
Like
yeah.
I know I can still catch up and like perform at a higher level. But I was always worried, like, can I deliver at the level that it's expected from me? And I think I am delivering at that level or even higher. So
yeah, I was going to say, were you concerned at any point about, oh, it's been so long out, what if, I'm a bit slower, what if like, I'm a bit behind where I left it?
Yeah, it was more about in-ring conditioning and freshness, like in my brain to come up with ideas and be like, when you're doing matches every weekend, ideas flow very easily. And I was just worried, like, will ideas flow this easily now? Will it take me longer to think and come up with stuff? Will the stuff I come up with be worse than the stuff I came up with before? So that's that. And in-ring conditioning, like, no matter how much you do, like training, gym or whatever, it's wrestling that gives you in-ring conditioning. So obviously, just wanted to see how it felt.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you mentioned that that coming back to BritRest for those couple of shows at Kamikaze and at Wrestle Carnival. After spending a year and a half here before the lockdown and then going back home, how good was it to come back?
It was really good, and it was kind of emotional. Because obviously, like, I lived in Wolverhampton, which is real close to Birmingham. I went to Birmingham many times. So the first thing I saw, like, the Kamikaze show was at the Mill. And the last concert I saw, like, 2 days before, like, lockdown was at the Mill. So I was like, oh, God, last time I was here, I was, like, watching Turnstile. And everybody was, like, dancing around and jumping. And then 2 days later, we were in lockdown. And then the world stopped, basically. So that, and then I got to like walk around, like be in Wolverhampton Saturday, which I had a day off. So I got to see like some old friends, and then like just doing the travel loop all over again just felt really good. Like, it was weird because it was like the things I never dreaded them, but they became routine. Like, just going to Birmingham New Street and going from Birmingham New Street to whatever place we were wrestling that day, and then like getting in super late at New Street and trying to get some snacks if there was something open, or trying to get some food on the way back, or arriving to Birmingham New Street with like some time to catch the next train, so you go to Lee and have the vegan burger. All those things were like routine. They just felt so exciting. I was like, oh my God, this is happening again. Like just going to train line and it's like, oh, taking the different tickets, and then like things are just completely normal and standard. They were like, this is normal life. This is happening again.
Yeah, the things you take for granted, you're like, oh, wow, Like,
yeah, I mean, there's legit nothing exciting about those things. Maybe about having a nice love burger at Leon, but that's it. but yeah, they felt exciting. They felt like, okay, I'm getting my life back.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the pandemic, obviously, like still sort of going on, even though things are opening back up now, has that impacted, especially with yourself being based in mainland Europe? Has it impacted, the shows you can take and where you can wrestle and for the next sort of few months? Has it impacted that?
I don't know if I got it right. I'm gonna answer the question, and if I answer a completely different thing, you just let me know. It's only impacted travel-wise, basically, and it's more. The impact is more in the UK than anywhere else. Well, in the UK and the US, the US has like completely shut the border, but mainland Europe, you can more or less travel with the vaccination program. So you had like the quote unquote COVID passport. It's called like certificate, like digital certificate from the UE. But if you're fully vaccinated, most of the countries you can just show that and travel. So there's not like a huge issue. It was like an issue until I got vaccinated, until we managed to get vaccinated. But now that we're like almost everyone's vaccinated, it's not that much of a problem.
Yeah, sure.
But it is in the UK. So for this last weekend, I had to do travel. Before this last weekend, like I think it got changed in August. But before that, if you went to the UK, you had to quarantine no matter what for 10 days and had to pay for 2 tests, 2 PCRs. So that was like a very expensive trip. Then they changed the rules, and right now it stands you can go there and you don't need to quarantine if you're fully vaccinated, but you still have to take a PCR on day 2, and you need to take a test before flying in. So it's still pricey.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And then it's gonna get changed in October, they said, and it's gonna get changed to you don't need to get a test before flying in. And when you arrive before day 2, you can get an antigen test instead of a PCR. So that would like reduce the costs like very much, because it was like a big barrier for me in terms of like flying to the UK, how expensive it was. Obviously, when it was like forced quarantine, it was just not doable. And with this one, I booked these 2 shows as a test, because I assume, okay, for September, like for sure restrictions would have been eased, and they were eased, but they were still kind of expensive. But even if they were kind of expensive, I think they were doable, like sharing between a few people and stuff like that. Because so I'm a wrestler, but even if I've never been a promoter as such, I've helped with White Wolf in Spain, so I know what it's like to be on the production side of things. And I always want to make things as easy as possible and as cheap as possible. Like make it work for the promoter to like not only think about myself but think about the promoter and the show always. So I always want to find a deal that works for everyone. And so I think like with these conditions, even if it's costly, it's kind of doable. But then like from October onwards, that's when like full on traveling schedule I think could resume.
Yeah, which would be really helpful as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned because I wanted to bring up as well the sort of the new promo that you released on your social media just a couple of weeks ago. And you mentioned in that obviously that when the pandemic hit, you went back home. Would you have gone back home anyway? Was that always the plan, or was it just when the pandemic hit you thought you'd rather be in Spain?
No, it wasn't. So I had booked a 1 month holiday over here, because it was like a month that I didn't have any shows booked, and so it was like, okay, let's not book any shows over in the UK, and I'll book a couple in Spain, and I'll take a month in Spain, or if I need to go to the UK, I'll go for a show and come back.
Sure.
And I had that month booked. And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, wait, like we've been in this stuff like for 4 months now, and I don't see this ending in the next month. So like, I think I'd just rather take all my stuff with me, and if it needs to be, I'll just come back. So like, it was never the plan to come back to Spain. I don't know if I would have or when would I have done it if things like would have stayed normal, but it wasn't the plan. But then like I came here and it was like, okay, I have a pretty good life here. I'm pretty settled. I've got my friends and family. I've got a training facility where I can train. Also like a few of the schools that I was like, the school that I was attending, and some of the schools have shut down in the UK, so it didn't make that much sense to just be there for no reason. So yeah, like I don't mind moving back if it's necessary, but if I can, I'll probably stay here. Like I'm flexible.
No, sure.
Whatever's easy and whatever works best for me as a career, that's what I'll do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you mentioned it again in that promo that you booked a year and a half here because you wanted to immerse yourself in that culture in BritWres and do as much as you could and be a part of it and really get to know the scene. So how did you find that whole year and a half? Like, how was that whole experience for you?
It was very good. As with every experience, it has its highs and lows, and that comes with anything in life, even with the very best things in life. But I really enjoyed it. I felt because when I wanted to go there, I felt like I really needed to step up. We were getting pretty nice opportunities. We were doing RevPro regularly. We were doing some other big shows, and I felt I needed to step up because I felt I could just deliver, and I wasn't like that confident in myself to be able to solve situations if things went wrong, or to get that, like, take that extra step or just perform at that bit of an extra level. So I felt like I couldn't reach that level training here in Spain. That's why I went over there, and I think I achieved that. I think like my progression from, like, if you see the wrestler I was the day I got to UK and the day I left the UK, I think it's like different worlds. And I never realized it that much. I realized it a little bit, but I didn't realize it that much until like I came back to Spain and did one match. I don't know if it was like October 2019 or like March 2020, something like that. Like I had been in the UK for like a year, something like that. I can't remember. And people at White Wolf were like, "Wow, where did that come from?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I just had a match." I was like, "Dude, like you were a different animal." I was like, "Oh, sweet, thank you." Like obviously, like you don't notice your progress yourself because you see yourself every day. But then if someone doesn't see you for 3 months and then you come back and they see you, you'd be like, "Wait, what?" So yeah, the whole experience was good. Like getting to live on my own, by the way, for the first time. Just like it was a great experience, like training wise, like wrestling wise, doing shows, travel, learning a different culture. Even if I did know it a little bit, and I always liked it, it was different to like immerse myself. Yeah, it was overall very interesting, and it sure has helped me loads in many aspects in life.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. You mentioned the sort of like progress you make, and the fact that normally when you're in that sort of atmosphere and you're sort of learning day by day and growing, you don't notice it yourself. But was it nice that other people had noticed it? Was it nice to get that recognition that, oh, like what I've chosen to do here is paying off?
Yeah, absolutely, because that happens to every wrestler or mostly every wrestler. But wrestling is an art and a sport that gives you the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And one day you can feel top of the world, and the other day you can really doubt yourself. And not that I like doubted myself of like my abilities and my talents, but you have moments where you're like, oh, is this worth it, or am I getting as much as I want out of this as I would like to, or am I really progressing, or and then you go somewhere else and someone else sees it and it's like, okay, yeah, it's working. To have like that reinforcement from time to time, it's always welcome. It's not that you should depend on it, and it's not that I did, but it's always welcome, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned in the promo that you were doing that you say you sort of like lost a part of yourself while you were living here. Was that a shoot? Was that true?
Yeah. So the thing is, I surrounded myself with many people that I really admired and really looked up to, and I still look up to. And the thing is, like, with sharing those shows with those people, or surrounding myself with those people, and that's like a very large group of people, I would constantly try to ask everyone for feedback, ideas. What would they do if they were in my situation? And the thing with that, it would be like, I would get like different ideas coming in. And someone I admired imagined said A, and someone I admired said B, and someone I admired said C. And then I would be like at a crossroads where I'll be like, oh, which one do I pick? Do I get a little from everyone? Do I get something from that one? Do I get the whole thing from this one? But if I take this thing, these other two are probably gonna be pissed, like I didn't listen to them. So I'd like keep on having that like inside war in my head, where I would be like scared of not doing what I was suggested by people that I look up to and that I respect. But then if I didn't do one, if I did what one said, I probably wouldn't do what the other one was saying. And with all that stuff, I would constantly be thinking about what people were saying to me, and would like leave my ideas like let my ideas take a backseat, and never like really trust my gut for once and be like, let's just throw shit at the wall, and if it sticks, it sticks. Like, let's see if it works. So it was about like a bit about that. Like I did feel about that like that way, and it weighed heavy on my head when I was living over there. And I've always when I started like rising up in space, when I started being myself, and I see like so many people in wrestling that when they start like getting opportunities, or like when the stuff they do like works and connects with people, it's when either they're themselves or they do what they want to do, and what comes natural to them. Doesn't matter if it's like a whole different character. So I just thought, okay, I feel like my wrestling level is good and it's gonna keep on getting better. But I just want to try and do what I feel like, because it's not that it's like a huge difference or a massive change, which is a little bit, but it's just gonna feel more natural. And if something comes up to me and I feel like I need to do it, I will do it. And I think like it's just gonna help create that connection a little more.
Yeah, for sure. And then that's, a great lesson for, I guess, for you to learn as well, but also for other wrestlers, just coming through to learn is, you can take parts of what other people say, but at the end of the day, you've got to stick true to what you want to do, because that's how it's going to come across more organic.
Yeah, exactly. And if something goes wrong, like I know with the stuff that I will do that just comes through my head, some stuff will work, some stuff won't, some stuff will have like, yeah, this is good, but this could be changed. And I accept it as part of the process. And if some things don't go as well as planned, that's part of it. It's a learning process. If things work better than expected, hell yeah, welcome.
Absolutely. And you say, in that new promo, it feels like it's going to not necessarily be a whole new direction for you, but there's going to be a bit of a change in sort of you and your character and how you sort of bring yourself back now. Is that sort of what you're going for? Is there going to be a sort of a new Carlos Romo that we can all expect?
I wouldn't say as I was saying, I wouldn't say like a wholly new Carlos Romo, like a whole new Carlos Romo, but it's just gonna be like little by little more like myself. Things like I'm gonna try to come out to the ring with different T-shirts almost every day, like representing stuff I love. Coming out, I changed my theme song to like I did really like the theme song I had, but I'm coming out now to a band which I really like, and that like I became friends with the guitarist because he's like a wrestling fan and I'm a fan of his band. So I want to support the stuff like my whole life has been guided through by passion, and what I said in the promo, like that's the reality. That's me. Like I've always guided me through what I wanted to do. When I started training, the first day I went to training, they told me, if you want to be a professional, this is not the place for you. We come here to have fun. If you want to be a pro, go home and jerk off. Legit, those were the words. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll see. Like I didn't say that, but I thought that to myself. And then I started training. I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this, and I think we can do this. And then we went to train to the UK, and I was like, okay, the level is not that far off. I think we can do this. And that was like all passion. Like I want to do this. I'm gonna work for it. And same with music. Same when I played in bands. Same when I played basketball. Like that's how my life went. So I just want to like show that passion, like made it like shine through my character. Like for example, the new gear I have that I hand painted all myself, and it all the paintings that are like in my gear are like lyrics from songs that have helped me in tough times or that motivate me whenever I hear them or stuff like that. So it's just like those little things, or for example, even like my wrestling style. I always liked technical and submission wrestling and mat-based wrestling, but I never really did it that much because, first of all, like in Spain, people didn't like it that much. So it was hard to like get them invested if you wanted to do anything like that. And also when we were in Team White Ball with AKid, because he's such an excellent grappler, I would usually leave that stuff to him and focus on other stuff so we could do like different things. So that would like I would keep on holding myself back from doing something that I really love and then that I think I'm quite good at. So that's something that I'm like, no, like that's me too. I'm gonna make it shine through, and like if I want to do 20 minutes of submission wrestling one day, that's what I'm gonna do. And if one match I want to do 3 top rope dives, like that's what I'm going to do. Like I have different tools, and I'm not gonna stop myself from using them.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something you've said there that I picked up on that I didn't know is so your gear, you hand paint all that yourself. That's incredible. So how long did that take you?
The vest that I did, it took me like a full night, and by full night I mean I started around 7-8 p.m. And finished like midday the following day.
Oh, okay, so really a full night, yeah.
Yeah, like even a bit longer than a full night. And the trunks didn't take tights didn't take as long, but it still took like a whole night too. I think.
Wow.
It was like 10 p.m. to like 4 p.m. or something like that.
Long one. Yeah.
Yeah, because like the vest is a bit more detailed, and it's a bit longer, like a bit bigger what you have to paint, and it had like smaller graphics and a bit different. The tights were just bigger lettering and shorter space because most of it, like half of it, is covered by the knee pads and the kick pads. So it just was a difference of having to paint a bit less.
Yeah, for sure. But I imagine that's really nice and rewarding as well, because then you know that your gear is exactly how you want it because you've made it.
Yeah, or even if it's not exactly how I want it, like if it's not perfect, that's still what I want to, like the message I want to show. Like it's me, and I will have like my victories, and I have like my losses, and with the imperfections that it has, like if it's something that's not perfect, okay, it's still me. Like it comes from the heart and it comes from my passion. So if my painting isn't perfect in some tiny space of the tights, that's okay with me.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned, your passions and everything there, and anyone who sort of keeps tabs on you or follows you on social media will know that one of your biggest passions is punk music.
Yeah.
And you mentioned putting some lyrics and stuff on your jacket as well to represent that. So, I mean, going back to, very beginning, where did that love of punk first come from?
Well, it's always been, it's a weird one because, like, I mean, it's not a weird one, but it's not like such a simple answer because it's not only like a love of punk, but a love of music, basically. I grew up in a house where like my parents were like big music nerds too. So I'd listen to loads of music. They were like really into rock and all the kind of similar styles or similar genres. But we listened to loads of music. Like the amount of styles that I listen would be great. Like at home we'd listen to loads of like blues and rock. Then my dad and my mom would like a little bit of punk and a little bit of grunge. Not much metal, but maybe a tiny little bit. But then we'd listen to some flamenco because I grew up in like the south of Spain, or we would listen to some like more pop music. Then I started listening to hip hop when I was like a little kid, and I really loved it. We listened to loads of R&B, soul music, and then like when I got a bit older and I started mixing up with like my friends in the basketball team, like one of my friends, we were both like in the same kind of thing. Like we both listened to hip hop, and then he had like a brother that listened to punk, and then he showed us punk bands, like punk and hardcore bands, and I started listening to them. So it all came through that, and it was like, okay, I love this. And when I like something, I want to discover more. So it was like, okay, more, give me something. And so it's just been like that way the whole time. And obviously, like if I choose like a genre for me, like my go-tos are like punk rock, hardcore emo. Punk rock, hardcore emo would be like a mix between those three genres would be like what I go to on like my standard. If you like, I need to pick an album, just go with that. But if you go on my shuffle, like I go on my shuffle now, and probably like the first 5 songs are like not different genres, but like my most listened artist from last year was the Beastie Boys.
Oh yeah, very different then.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's cool.
See, like I go and it's like, even if they're kind of similar, it went from Biffy Clyro to a Spanish band called Viva El Grado to Tigers Joe, which are like more emo, to then Madball, which are more hardcore. Then goes Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
See, like, and then Beastie Boys. That's like how it's just like very, very different, and I love it that way.
Yeah, a very broad eclectic taste. Absolutely. Yeah. So are you like the sort of person then that, in terms of like new music, discovering new music like that, you're sort of, will you give anything a listen, or is there stuff music-wise, like genre-wise, that you definitely won't touch? Like you're like, oh no, I won't listen.
I've been listening, like I love reggaeton too. Like it's hard, like reggaeton, I like it for like going out and dancing with friends, but Bad Bunny I can listen at home like on repeat, and I'm good with that. I started listening to techno a bit more. Like I did listen to techno when I was like growing up in a small town, because that was like standard, but it was like more of like the how do you call it, the mainstream side of techno. But now like I listen to some other techno and I enjoy it too. So it's like I'm not really, I don't think there's a genre or a style that I'm like, nah, pass, no way.
Give anything
legit. And I think you can find good stuff in any genre, and I'm always grateful that I don't know if that's like the education I had or the mentality I have myself, but I'm always grateful that I look at it that way, because that allows me to enjoy many different styles of music.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, I know based on all that, based on everything that you said, I know it must be a tough question, but if someone's watching this and wanted to sort of wanted to get to know you in like music wise,
okay,
who would you say? Do you have like a list of like say top 3, top 5 like favorite bands ever?
They keep on changing, but I'm gonna give you just a few, and then when I give you this answer, I know that when we finish recording,
It'll be
I'll
different.
be like, "Fuck, why did I leave this one out?" And I would feel bad for the band, not for myself, but I'd be like, "Why did I include them?" I'd go with the Drive-In, Rage Against the Machine. Let's say, oh fuck, see, like I'll probably say like Gallows, Elixir on Fire, Make Do and Mend. But then I'll be leaving out Beastie Boys, so and Biffy Clyro, which have been like my most listened artists for the past 3 years. So you'd have to reshuffle between all those 7, like depending on the day.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. No. Some great picks in there, absolute classics as well. You know, like punk and emo wise and everything. Some absolute stellar bands in there.
Thank you.
So if we go back to music as well and how that shaped you.
Yep.
When you were starting wrestling and when you were first coming into it and when you were sort of coming to grips with developing a character and what you wanted with entrance music and how you wanted to come across in your style, was music a big influencer in that?
Depends on what era you're talking about. When I first started wrestling, everything was given to me. My character, my music, my gear. So I really had not much of a say over there. And then when I first started having a say, then it obviously it did influence me, of course. But again, like it influenced me a little bit. And now it's like, no, like if I want to like let it like storm me, like, okay, let it be.
How important is that? Because sort of what you just said there in terms of when you first started, you were given your character and music and everything. Because one of the first interviews we did here on Grapple Theory is we interviewed Mariah May, and she said that when she first started, she was given like her character, she was given the Offspring as her entrance, and she said like that definitely that wasn't her, that wasn't what she felt. And how important is that as a wrestler, whether it's yourself, whether it's anyone else, you have that say in those key parts of your character, because otherwise you can end up not being the person you want to be.
You know what? Like, I always find some conflict in this, because whenever I've had to portray a character that wasn't me, I always had a lot of fun. It would just feel like a playground. So I just like fully let myself go and just do something completely different that wasn't me.
Immerse yourself in it.
Play around with that and would have a lot of fun and think I made it work. But then, even if that's fun, I think I could do that like for some time. But then for like being me and like going forward with that and doing that every day, I don't know if I could. I probably could, but I don't think that's what I like. I don't know if that's what I would like to do.
No, sure, yeah. Like a different character can be fun for a short period.
Yeah,
but for the long term, you sort of want to be more yourself.
Probably, yeah. Like maybe you ask me 5 times, and I'm like, you know what? It's better if I do something else. But when I've done something that's like different to what I am or to my standard character, it's been really fun. It's been really enjoyable, and I fully immerse myself in it. But yeah, I think in my own experience, I prefer to keep it away and enjoy it and like be myself. And I think you've seen it in the ring. Like the more I've been myself, the more just like, I don't know if confident, but you just see me like enjoy myself, and that like that energy when you see a wrestler enjoying themselves in the ring, that transfers to the crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd ends up having a better time too.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of like finally, music-wise, you mentioned you mentioned favorite bands, and that's a tougher one. But do you have any like sort of favorite, most memorable like gigs, concerts that you've been to?
A few. Again, I'm gonna like be sad when this finishes. I'll be like, oh, why did I forget this one? I'll probably go Rage Against the Machine, Rock in Rio, Madrid, 2010. That was like absolutely wild, and it was at a time where I'd listened to Rage Against the Machine loads, but I hadn't watched many live videos of them, so I didn't know how Tom Morello pulled all of like the sounds he pulls off the guitar. So I was like mesmerized seeing every single trick he did. Gallows Resurrection Fest 2010.
Gallows a great live.
Was insane. It felt like the World Cup final. Like the whole festival was watching side stage, and it was just madness, pure madness.
Gallows are insane live. They're a crazy live band. Frank Carter is just mental.
Yeah, legit. I've been lucky to see them with both, and I like them with Wade. I know people don't like them with Wade. I do, but I got lucky to see them with Frank too, and that's great. Alex on Fire at, I wouldn't know if to say Reading, because that's like the first time I saw them and they were coming back, and that was like such an emotional like experience of like finally seeing Alex on Fire and everybody was like hyped. But it wasn't like a headline set. It was like a 45-minute set maybe at Reading, which was great, but it's not like watching them at Brixton Academy where they'll do like an hour and 45 minutes of classics.
Yeah.
So either one of those two. And I know there will be like some more, like some Frank Turner gigs have been amazing. I know like I'll probably like keep on thinking and be like, oh, this one was such good live, and there's some things that I'm forgetting now, and I'll remember later.
And you'll be like,
I remember Comeback Kid at Resurrection Fest. I think it was like 2013. It was like insane fun. No, 2014. So much fun. But yeah, Biffy Clyro Madrid. I was talking to some friends the other day. Biffy Clyro Madrid. They were touring the Opposite Cycle.
Oh, great song! Yeah.
And that I remember like that sound like blasting through my ears, like, and I don't like really high volume in gigs, but in that gig I didn't care, and everybody in the venue knew every single song, so every single song was like a massive celebration.
Yeah,
I know. Pretty nice gigs.
And that's got to be, because you say yourself as someone who's who's played music, who's been in bands, and who does wrestling as well. It's got to be nice to sort of see those gigs and see those people you admire, those especially I guess like the front men, really, where you can, as a wrestler, you can take parts of like what they do and see how they sort of like whip up the crowd and bring that in, and learn something from that and take that into wrestling, I imagine.
Yeah, so I don't know if I take like specific. Sometimes you can, and sometimes, but what I always want to mimic and like replicate is the energy. If you like any punk or hardcore music or even metal music, I feel it's more with punk and hardcore. But if you like any of those styles and you've been to any gig, you can tell like there's an atmosphere, camaraderie over there, or there should be. There's obviously sometimes there's not, but that's how it should be, and that's how it usually is. And when you're there, like even with people like throwing punches in the air and like running circle pits, you usually feel like you're in a safe space and you're in a place where like the stranger is your friend, and like the typical say of like if someone falls down, we pick them up, and that's like, or like you're gonna stage dive and a stranger is gonna catch you no matter what. Like that's the kind of like I'm at home feeling that I would love to have like during wrestling shows that I've had sometimes, and that's like the kind of energy that I want to transmit to people. And like, and if someone's watching a wrestling show and they have like that same energy of like camaraderie with the people around them and with the wrestlers in the ring, I feel like a great time is gonna be had by all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier, teaming with AKid in Brit Wres and abroad as well. Talk about AKid first. Like, talk about I imagine you're still in contact with him, and what do you make of the work he's doing at the minute?
Oh man, he's living his best life.
Mm.
I'm really happy for him. I always knew he was gonna do great things. That's why I really pushed him to come and wrestle in the UK. Like when I first started wrestling in the UK, I did want to wrestle in the UK, but I knew I wasn't at that much of a high level. But he was like a very shy person, and he didn't know how to manage that business side of things, or like emailing stuff and da da da. So that's why I like asked the people in Madrid and asked him if he wanted to, and that's why I wanted to like do it with him and asked if we could go together. And we didn't weren't supposed to tag at first. We just wanted to travel together. And because I knew he deserved it, and I just knew he was at the level and he would be at the level. He had like that natural talent, and he also had the work ethic. So it was like, okay, like it's no brainer. But yeah, I'm really happy for him, and also like really happy he's getting to excel and showcase like what he's best at.
Yeah,
You never know like how's it gonna be, or if like he's not gonna be able to wrestle that style, or at least like not make it like that prominently or something. But you see him and like his wrestling matches, like TV matches where he's doing like 10 minutes on the mat, and that's not like very common, and that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And you tagged with him, didn't you, in an NXT UK, if I remember right?
Yeah, we did one show. It was like semi squash. So it was like a super easy and simple match. But yeah, we did one show together over there.
Would you like to go up against him in NXT UK?
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. I thought it would have been great. Like if I challenged him for the Heritage Cup, it would have been great. Obviously, that's no longer a chance, but it would have been real good because he went through a good bunch of people that were like very good and very good opponents. So I thought maybe it could be a nice touch to have like his friend challenge him. Like even if it was like a one-off and not needing to be contracted.
Yeah, but, for sure.
Yeah, like of course, like I'd love to wrestle him anywhere. He's great, and he's my friend, and he's also like one of my best rivals, if not the best. So I wrestle him anywhere.
And we talk about, take you back to almost like you say, coming over to Brit Wres with him for the first time, and a lot of people in Brit Wres will know you from Team White Wolf, from your team together.
Yeah.
So how was it coming over and having the success you had in Brit Wres and being able to represent Spain whilst doing it?
Oh, it was mind blowing. Like it all just went so fast. Like I think about it, when I first went over to UK, I wasn't even Carlos Romo. I was Adam Chase. Like that's how unexpected it was. Like I got to change my name because it was like, okay, like that was like my play name to be wrestling in Spain. We just had one chance, and then it just skyrocketed from there. And I remember what you're saying about like representing Spain. There's been a few times where I've really realized how important and how big the things we were doing were. When we did King of Trios, like our phone was like exploding, and everybody was like, when we first got announced, like people were like, "Oh my god, this is like the biggest thing that's happened to Spanish wrestling ever." And then when the match happened, it was like, "Yep, basically, yeah." And then I remember when they did that WWE show, we basically didn't tell anyone. Like, I think my significant other at the time knew, his significant other knew, and I think one of our best friends, like the guy that did King of Trios with us, knew, and maybe one other friend knew, and the rest, like, we didn't say nothing. We maybe like said check your phones later, but I don't think I don't know if we even said that.
You just left it a big surprise, yeah.
We just came back to the curtain, and everyone was like, "What the fuck?" Like, so yeah, like we could really like tell in those moments. I remember we were like going to do a show in the UK. It was like the week after that WWE show happened. We were catching a flight together, and we went to buy the newspaper, and we were in the newspaper. Like it was like, okay, yeah, like this is big.
Yeah.
So obviously, especially for a country that has had no representation in wrestling for the last 50 years, it's really important, and you can see it. You can see it nowadays, especially like there's loads and loads of new schools being created. And that's like, I feel like that's the biggest victory we can have. Like, no matter how far our careers go, if we manage, like, if things we do allow people to think, okay, this is actually a possibility, and this can happen. We can make this work. Like that's and so people are inspired and create schools and create like local communities. That's the biggest victory we can have. Like to change the mentality from the day I started, where they went, no, if you want to be a pro, go home, to no, I live in a small town with 2,000 inhabitants, but I want to create a wrestling school because these guys did it. I can do it.
Yeah.
If we can manage to have like that mentality change throughout the country, that's like our biggest victory in our career for sure.
For sure. And you mentioned, the scene in Spain and how it's grown based on that. I mean, as someone who, started there, has grown up around it and is now back there at the moment, how have you seen the scene in Spain develop and evolve? And has it grown? Is there more demand for wrestling now over there?
Yeah, definitely. When I started here, there were like 2 companies. There had been a few that like came and went, but there were like 2 main companies. Now I can think of like 6, like at least 7, 8, 9 companies that are running shows. Like even if they're not like frequently, but here and there. More than 10 schools in Spain, which was like unthinkable when I started. People paying for tickets, which like we were doing free shows when I was wrestling because people wouldn't pay for tickets, and we didn't have the venue to run it, but we wouldn't look for it either because we knew like there wasn't that demand. And yeah, we see like more wrestling fans, more people interested in wrestling, more people interested in sign up for like to wrestling school, more people trying to go to shows, more people traveling to see shows, people interested in seeing imports here because they know what's going on in the indie scene. So yeah, like it's definitely growing, and also like the level between like the trainees and the way the crowd reacts to things. Like when I started, if you did technical wrestling for more than a minute without doing a cool flip, they'll boo you, legit boo you.
Sure, yeah.
And now you have like Zack Sabre Jr. like 3 years ago wrestling a 5-star match, and people be like that's fucking great. Like and obviously that opens a world of possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely, and that must be nice to see. As someone who you're very proud of where you come from and your heritage, and that whole scene as well. And you say helping out again with White Wolf as well. Yeah. It must be really nice and rewarding to see the fact that with the fact that you yourself and AKid were so successful in Brit Rest as well. That scene growing and more people wanting to be part of it and wanting to get involved in it because of the work that you and others have done.
Yeah, of course. Like it's great. We see it and we're like, oh, like in a way it's like we're super proud and it's super fun and it's amazing. And in a way it's like, oh damn, I wish we had this. But same with everything, like positives and negatives. If we had it, things would have been like way easier for us. But if we because we didn't have it, we had to experience like loads of different things that are probably not going to be experienced by these people and finding out themselves. Sorry, we were finding them ourselves, and they were probably like have them been told by someone else.
Yeah,
but yeah, obviously it's a great feeling.
Absolutely. And as we wind down here with a couple of final questions, sure. I guess the the thing that people want to know really is in the next few months, next year or so, what is next for Carlos Romo? What's coming up? What are you hoping to achieve, and what are your sort of goals for the next 12 months wrestling wise?
That's always a tricky one because I feel the wrestling world changes so much within a year. But I really want to establish myself as one of the best independent wrestlers in the world right now. I want for people to regard me as a top technician or as a very good technician. And I want, most of all, like what I was doing when I was traveling just before the pandemic. I did a few shows in the US. I really want to do the US more often and keep on building a name for myself over there. And I just want to be that wrestler. And I think I was starting to get a body of work that was shaping that way. And obviously it can be way better. I want to be a wrestler that people see and be like, yeah, no matter who you put him against him, like he's going to have a good match.
Yeah.
Like it can be amazing or it can be very good or it can be just good. But it's never going to be a bad match. Like people like Tony Depp and Lee Moriarty, people like those that they can have some amazing matches and they can have some good matches, but you see them and you're always going to have a good time and they're always going to have a good match.
Yeah.
I want to be seen as that person, and I want to be seen as that person because I have that body of work, not because people have that conception, but because I show I can do that.
You proved it, yeah absolutely.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Well, we're just going to end with I'm going to sort of like put you on the spot a little bit because we've got a feature here called The Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler, and it's more about sort of like you shoot wise rather than you as a wrestler.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first thing that comes to it is what's your favorite pre-show meal?
Favorite pre-show meal, a nice pasta. But a night, like a good few hours before the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to be wrestling heavy with it sitting in your stomach. What about similarly again, but afterwards? It's your favorite post-pinfall pig out.
Sorry.
Your favorite post-pinfall pig out. So like, what would you like after a show, after a match? What do you like sort of go for then?
As a meal too?
Not necessarily as a meal, but like once the show's finished, if you're like driving to somewhere else or whatever, and you stop off for food, what's your like go to? What do you like to have?
I'm trying to think. I think my favorite one used to be like ordering Veggie Lounge in Wolverhampton when we came back from a show. We came back from a show, and if it was an early one and Veggie Lounge was open, we would open a bunch of like veggie junk food. They had like the super pizza and the popcorn chicken.
Nice.
And we would all order it and sit down like, when you're dead tired back from the show, and just have all the food there and just have a nice drink and chill after a good day of work. That's a good one. Amazing. And always like anything that's like after a good show, like sharing a dinner or just dinner with the people that have done the show with you, or have done the match with you, is always good.
Awesome. Next one is the song that gets me hyped.
Many, so many. I'm gonna go Sabotage, Beastie Boys.
Great shout. The next one you sort of answered, so we'll go back to it. I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to name one, just one, not seven. My favorite band ever, all time.
Let's go Alexis on Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go there.
The movie that I'd show the locker room.
The movie that I show the locker room. I'm gonna go TV show, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Utopia, but the British one.
Really?
Yeah. I really love that show, and I feel it's very underrated, and I don't think many people know about it, and I always try to show people Utopia.
That's a really good shout. Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't expect like anyone to say generally, because like you say, it's really underrated. Like so many people don't know about it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I like it.
Thank you.
My favorite way to relax.
Favorite way to relax? Probably just laying down, having a nice, like juice or Coke, like not alcoholic drink. Like I like a drink, but not like to relax.
Sure.
And like, maybe like some nice drink, a nice weather and maybe watching something like Formula One or my sports team Cádiz, like my football team Cádiz and stuff, or just like a nice TV show that I enjoy, or maybe even playing video games, but that's like not that much of a relaxing thing, but something that I can watch, lay back, have a drink, see like the nice weather in the background, and be on my phone a little bit.
Nice. It's interesting you mentioned Cadiz there as well, but like, you know, watching it. I wouldn't watch, like, I'm a Brighton fan myself, but like I would never watch.
You got Florin and Donner for you guys, right?
Huh?
You got Florin and Donner.
You did, yeah. He's a good striker. He's got a bit of a temper on him, though. I think that's why we sent him out. But I mean,
there's one famous interview in Spain where like there were like maybe 2 or 3 games to go for the league, and they were already like going down second division, and they interviewed him, and he was like, "Oh, we fucking suck. I can't even get like a fucking pass right. We'd just fucking rather go home than just be walking around the pitch." It's so funny.
Oh, he's definitely a character. I don't think Graham Potter likes him very much. I think that's why he sent him out. But I mean, I would never watch Brighton to relax. That's like the most stressful thing for me.
Cádiz stressed me a little bit, but it doesn't, like, even if it does, I feel like it's time for myself where I don't need to care about anything else.
Sure. Yeah. It's still enjoyable, even though you're like peak stress. You're like,
yeah. So even if I'm stressing out, like, that's just time for myself where I'm like, yeah, I'm allowing myself to have like an hour and a half to watch this.
No, for sure. The next one is my greatest fear.
My greatest death.
Really? Yeah, I'm the same.
It's always been like that. Like, obviously, it gets better with the years, but still there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, terrifying concept.
Yeah.
My favourite place in the world?
Cádiz, probably. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And the final one is my dream holiday destination.
Good one. Damn.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I want to see one of those like nice aisles and stuff like that, but I really want to go back to LA.
Really?
I went to LA. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time over there, and I really liked it. And I think I would love to see like more of California, because I did see like a bit around LA and stuff like that, but I didn't get to try. I did some like Santa Monica, Venice Beach, and like went a bit outside of LA, but didn't really go to like fully experience California.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe I tried to do that, but there's many options, to be honest.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Too many places. Brilliant. Carlos Romo, thank you so much for joining us here on Grapple Theory. Thank you to everyone watching. But yeah, thanks for chatting. It's been great getting to know you and knowing all about, you know, what the future holds and your past in wrestling. So it's
no worries. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for everyone watching. If you stayed up until this late, like, send us a message.
Absolutely.
You're a legend.
Yeah, always grateful for people hanging around. But yeah, no, thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting, and all the best for the future. And of course, we'll let you know when this goes out as well.
Of course, man.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, mate. Have a great day.